Welcome to Deep River Farm, folks. This video here we're going to talk about determinate and indeterminate plants, and this is going to precede the video. They're going to go hand in hand. The next video is going to be called crop companion planting, and you need to know this information, especially if you're raising stuff in a raised bed, because you're putting a whole lot of stuff in a smaller space. So you need to make sure you understand what determinate and indeterminate means and utilize that with your crop companion. Now, let's just go ahead and put the definition out there. A determinate plant is a plant that is going to reach a determined size. In other words, if you buy a tomato plant and it's a determinate, that means it's only going to get, say, 4 feet tall and maybe 3 foot around. But if you buy an indeterminate plant, that means that plant will never stop growing all summer long, and it's going to continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So you wouldn't want to plant a tomato plant, let's say, that's an indeterminate right beside your green beans, because that thing's going to grow and grow and grow, and it's going to outgrow your cages now until you're tying the limbs up 6 and 7 feet tall. Now, your determinate plants, let's go ahead and tell how they produce. Your determinate plants are going to get your tomatoes. They're going to ripen, and most of your determinate tomatoes are all going to come in within, say, 2 to 3 weeks of each other. Now, you will have some stragglers come along, but the mass amount that's going to come out is going to come all at one time. And, you know, that's how it works best if you want to do canning and things like that. Now, that don't mean you're not going to get some tomatoes a little further along. You are, but your peak of your determinates is going to be your bigger, better tomatoes, and the ones that lag are going to be smaller. They generally have more tomatoes on a determinate plant. Now let's talk about the indeterminate. The indeterminate is one that's going to continue to grow throughout the summer. It's going to produce throughout the summer. They're not all going to come in at one time. So you're going to have tomatoes for a longer period of time. And they're going to be available for tomato sandwiches for a longer period of time. But if you're planning on canning, doing like homemade vegetable soup, making some pasta sauce, marinara stuff, and you needing tomatoes to do that, you want to get a determinate tomato. You know, you wouldn't want to put an indeterminate here close to your squash or anything, because that thing's going to get huge. So you got to keep that in mind. You also have to keep in mind too, the way your garden is placed. If you have an indeterminate tomato, the possibilities of it shading off another crop that may be planted nearby. Say, for instance, beets, like I have coming up here. You wouldn't want to put an indeterminate plant right here close by. It may just shade all that out. And you know, some people like to eat the leaves off of the beets and that type of thing. So it's things you got to think about. Now, while we're talking about this, keep in mind we're going to talk about crop companion planting next, and these go hand in hand. So be looking for the next video on crop companion planting. You can Google this as well. They have charts online that you can look at for free. That way you can decide where you want to plant what in the garden to make sure that the crop right next door is compatible. Because if they're not, you may have a competition for certain minerals in the soil that both plants may want to use, and it deplete it, and neither one of them does any good. And also for insects. So folks, be watching for that one, following this one. And I appreciate you joining me today as we've talked about determinate and indeterminate plants here at Deep River Farm. Have a blessed day.